It feels so good to be back on the East Coast. Got to train some no-gi back home. Oh, feels good. Which means it's time for Verbal Tap, which proves fighting is way easier from outside the island, especially if the humidity's thick and you get really tired really fast in the gi. I'm just saying, it's a little easier back in your home conditions. With me, of course, Ref Esparza. Ref, how are you doing this evening?
Fine. If I didn't know any better, it would sound like you were making an excuse for your performance out in Hawaii.
Oh, well, you do know me better, so that's definitely not what I'm doing.
Okay.
Though, a little bit, 10%. I had a blast out in Hawaii. I actually got to teach, I was running some open mat. I took the moves I got from Island J's back here to VA. It was a ton of fun.
That's very nice.
So yeah, got to keep it communal, Raph. Speaking of keeping it communal.
Okay.
Dan Henderson is back and ready to fight for the title. No?
I think Dan Henderson is back because I can agree to that statement. You, however, love saying things like Dan Henderson should go into a nice sarcophagus, or Dan Henderson's or Dan Henderson is so old that he should be at a buffet called the Hometown Buffet, or at the Golden Corral, he has seats for two at 4 p.m. Like, that's about what you say all the time.
Well, yeah, so he wins, and immediately everyone's like, does this quiet the naysayers? Like, John Anik couldn't have been more emphatic that this was a big upset. It was like, no, John, it wasn't. It was not a big upset. Everyone thought he was going to beat Tim Boesch. He did. Tim Boesch definitively shouldn't get back in the octagon for health reasons. He really is done. Dan Henderson, of course, dominated him with that stiff right hand. It was a really thoroughly exciting 20 seconds of action with 38 minutes of walkout.
Okay, you say so many things sometimes that
this was not him silencing the naysayers, Raph. This was him winning a fight he should have won.
I don't know that people thought he was going to win, because you had people like you who say he's incapable of winning. So does he shut up people who think he's incapable of winning?
First of all, I love this. I love this senior MMA tour. I think they should do it more frequently. Who doesn't want to see their favorite fighter over 40 get back in the cage? Shit, it's awesome. But in this particular case, I don't think he was a big underdog against Tim Boesch. It's like, everyone's like, oh, Dan Henderson can do it again. It's like, well, yeah, against a guy his own age, he's a fucking badass. Yeah.
But did you see the way in which, once he does connect, it is some powerful hits. Because... Sure. Nothing impresses me. Because that is quite impressive, for that person's Dan Henderson's age or not. I think the part where I'm the most entertained is Dan Henderson. Everybody knows the H-bomb is coming. So it's a matter of, can you stop it or can you not? And the most interesting aspect of him fighting in this fight is that it looks like once he gets a hand on a kid, it's like him beating up a small child who shoplifted back in the 60s. And he lets them have what's good. Because once he grabs onto them, he beats them like a stepfather, is what I like to say. Is because he grabs the back of their head and is like, you come here, you take these hits. So that's about what I'm most entertained by. It also, in a certain way, looks like Dan Henderson is initiating the closest thing I've seen to fights at my Mexican block parties in the octagon, which is always appreciated. Okay.
And frankly, everything's a market. There's an audience for everything that has its time and its place. So you heard it here. Raph thinks Dan Henderson's back. Let him fight for the title. Throw him to numero uno.
Because I am saying things that say, hey, he's impressive when he wins, and it's really exciting to watch. as opposed to
Oh,
Kevin,
okay.
who's like,
Oh, sorry.
he
I
woke
got
up from a
confused by what
stiff
you were
nap to come back, and who knew he would beat Tim Bosch?
saying. I wish I'd said that. That's funny. Woke up from a stiff nap. But awesome. Rap, seriously, longest walkout in UFC history. And that's not an old guy's joke. It wasn't their fault. They waited like 19 minutes to announce the second fighter. It was so long.
Part of the whole proceedings, which is, Kev, we had a very exciting fight night because it was UFC 68 in NOLA, so maybe they get a little more loose because it's out there. But do you know how long in total fight time the main card went?
I know it wasn't long.
24 minutes of fight time.
God. That's why it was so
So
long.
if you're looking to see why it took so long for them to get there, that's a Fox executive calling the UFC.
Yeah, it was like, we gotta stretch, man. You have got to stretch. It's us against women's soccer in the World Cup and some other stuff. But you have to stretch.
So many times. You fucking take, like, you can hop and skip as long as you start all the way back outside of the fucking arena, but you do not get out there quickly. So, yeah,
It
that should
took
answer.
forever. That does answer my question. I feel vindicated. Another fight that went pretty quick. Ben Rothwell fucking bully chokes Matt Mitrione. I don't know how else to say it.
That's probably the
Bully
nicest
choke.
and best way. Are you talking bully chokes or
Modified guillotine?
yes,
Like
yes.
neck crank?
It's is it a bulldog choke? Is that what we're talking about here?
Sure.
I'm going back to rewatch it myself
really-
because that was one of the two fights I actually missed from yesterday. I caught up on everything because I didn't get to see it live. I was hanging with family, but fortunately they made it so
you didn't
short. I
have
was able to
24
catch most of
minutes
them.
to spare? You didn't.
I
You
did
couldn't
not.
just give us 24 minutes.
No, not this time. However, I will say, if there's anything on this earth, nah, that's like a weird big man guillotine. The thing that makes me most entertained
It's
about
like
this is,
it's like a fat crank.
don't you say that. Remember, people, Kevin is saying those things, not me. A fat crank.
That's exactly what that is.
If we want to talk about big people, let's talk about maybe my favorite moment of the entire weekend, which was, I believe it is Sean Jordan pulling a very funny and cool kick. Did you see that fight?
Yes.
It was the prelims. Yes. So you did see it.
It was the last
Okay.
prelim, yeah.
Yes. And I don't know if you saw this, but I'm sending this to you right now. Go ahead and look at it. Again, everybody, you can all go catch this on the Verbal Tap page. We actually have just put this up. I'm entertained by this. I think Kevin might be too. Okay. Did you see this video that I'm talking about yet?
I didn't. No, I don't know what you're talking about.
All right, here. Go ahead and look at that.
Got
It's
it.
actually from the Sean Jordan fight. And it's like a tribute, one might say, to someone who is a greater fighter, otherwise known as Shawn Michaels, because Sean Jordan gets the sickest,
That
what's
music
referred to
is
in pro
great.
wrestling super kick or sweet chin music,
Yeah.
that we
Yeah.
actually decided to put it to some music. And the music makes it go pretty well, I think.
I completely concur. The music makes it rock. The music makes me want to get in a Jeep and drink a six-pack at the same time. Just drive.
And mission accomplished. You guys can check that out on verbaltapcast.com or our YouTube page or our Instagram. So all of those places, we have that up. I think you'll enjoy it. But yeah, the fights were good. I also want to give a big shout out to our
Poirier.
good friend, Christos Iagos, who put up a really, really good fight. I thought it was a tough fight to watch when it's your friend and he's trying to initiate a fight, and the other guy is definitely trying to win the
got
wrestling
held
match.
down a lot. Yeah, like it didn't feel to me at all like as I watched it, people were like, "Oh, well, that's obviously a decision." I was like, I could see a world where Christos won that fight. Like, I mean, just from a pure attack, submission, nearly knockout perspective, and they were just like, he landed so many more strikes. Like, no, he didn't. I agree. Christos was fighting.
Christos came to fight, although I will say, I think, wrestling is important, and we say that consistently here, so it played a major factor there. Kevin may not always say that. In fact, he didn't say that to Christos once, if I recall properly. But the important part about this whole thing is I thought they had a great fight, and then what was the fight of the night to you? I think it's one that we haven't brought up yet.
Ortega versus Tavares. I thought Brian Ortega showed some of the best from the bottom fighting I've seen. Like, I bet he's one sick grappler.
Yeah.
That guy can rotate his tips and attack in a Keenan-like way.
You don't say those words lightly, ever. You don't compare
Did you
anybody
watch
to
this
Keenan.
fight?
I did, yeah.
Did you watch this fight?
Yeah.
It's amazing. Like, Ortega is a fucking stud. And I was impressed at he used jiu-jitsu to fuck him up. Like, he did some seriously good work. I was impressed.
It was pretty spectacular. So those were, I think, the bulk of the fights from yesterday. I'm trying to think if there was anything else. It was just nice to have a nice breezy.
That was cool.
What's that?
Poirier, Dustin the Diamond.
Yeah. Oh man, that was. Oh yeah, and Soto was
beat the shit out of
dude.
him.
Just Jesus, that was so ridiculous to see Soto get the
bounce.
Man, I mean, if you look at it from Burchak knocking out Soto, and what he said afterwards was, he said, "Yeah, it took me one round to what it took the champ to do in 5," and I thought that was pretty good smack talk right there. That is so there was that. Brian Ebersol with an unfortunate knee injury, ending his career of 70 fights. But if you can learn one thing, and don't get too sad, it's that just based on his chest hair, he's always looking north, so he's always looking ahead.
Yeah. It was a good night for people with chest star tattoos. That's a good takeaway. And that's about it from, I think, UFC
the one more,
night.
the Proctor versus Justin Edwards. Let's just say this to all of our friends in jiu-jitsu. Just never let that happen to you.
Oh, yeah.
That's the
Joe Proctor. Oh, fuck. Tavares' face also. The blood was a problem, UFC. Like, thanks for making it a mini homage to Saw. Like, at the point where it was squirting out, it was like, what's Brian Ortega supposed to do? Cover him in petroleum jelly and triangle him? Like, come on.
So anyway, good night of fights. I was pleased, and I'm happy with the UFC for putting on a really good card and a TV card. And as we will talk about in a few minutes, maybe better than what we might see next week, where you got to pay for it. But hey, Mexico City, you're getting one, so huzzah!
Tune in, Mexico. All right.
All right. So what do we got going on today?
We're gonna talk to a ton of people.
Okay.
You invited Marshal Carper back on.
Always.
I have no idea why, other than he's interesting.
Okay. You didn't object to it either, but that's fine.
Sure. T Money's coming by for some over-under Kevin.
Look good
out.
Friend. Travis Conley.
Look out! And then Adam Fraser comes by to talk about the Submission Series Pro.
That's awesome.
Super
sounds
cool,
like a good show.
Canada trying to do their cute version of fighting us, right?
Don't be mean to the Canadians. They have so much working against them to begin with. It's unfair. It's like when I make fun of you for your inability to read. It's not fair.
Okay, you want to get to the podcast?
Yeah, let's do it.
Verbal Tap fans, we have, one of Raph's friends back, but, always good to have familiar people back on the podcast. From Artichoke Media, Marshal D, Carper. I like to add the D because I'm also a middle initial user. Marshall, how are you doing this evening?
Yeah, I'm just always trying to get the D in where I can. You know, it's just
Nope, never.
big strategy.
Nope. Well, Marshall, it seems like this is already going off wonderfully. How have you been, man? What have you been up to? I know you're always writing. You're one of the best writers in jiu-jitsu out there. I won't let you say no and otherwise, but you are. You're always up to like 3 or 4 projects all at once. So kind of give us a rundown of what you've been up to.
Sure, it's been busy. Well, behind the scenes, we've been trying to chase down fighters to work on more books with us. That's whole nightmare in itself. If you guys want to get into that, it's kind of inspired a lot of our business decisions. On the creative end, I'm working on a book on the sit-up escape, which is kind of like the anti-shrimp. So you hardly ever have to shrimp in the system to escape. It's pretty cool stuff. And we've also been working on a video game, actually. I think by the time this airs, yeah. I think by the time this airs, you guys got me all nervous. I'm just expecting you to make fun of me for everything I do. So I'm
gonna point out, if you're making a video game, go ahead and lead off with that. I had to sit through books, boring movies that haven't been made yet. I don't even remember what the second one was, but a video game. Now we're talking. That sounds amazing.
Yeah. So we made a video game. Production is pretty well on its way. We plan on wrapping up in September, and we're launching a crowdfunding campaign just to get a little bit of extra funds we need to do a full platform release. So it's a retro style for anyone that's nerded out, and I feel like a lot of people are nerds just based on how many Magic the Gathering videos I see with people in it.
Fair.
Yeah. It's just true. It's true. The co-owner of Artichoke, Matt Kirtley, is a hardcore Magic the Gathering player.
Takes
and
all kinds,
anytime jiu-jitsu,
Takes
anytime jiu-jitsu people come into town, where he lives out near Philly, you'd be surprised how often they actually end up playing Magic and not doing so much jiu-jitsu.
Yes, I would. I would for sure be surprised. But go ahead.
But so any nerds in the audience, it's kind of themed after games like Pokemon and Earthbound, classic retro RPGs. It's absolutely not serious. It's probably pretty offensive to a lot of martial arts out there that aren't jiu-jitsu. So we're really excited about that because I think jiu-jitsu, jiu-jitsu is trying to be pretty peaceful with other martial arts, and I feel like it's time to change that. And we're working on burning those bridges a little bit more than they already are. And yeah, it's pretty exciting. It's pretty exciting.
Good fight. Yeah.
Well, we're obviously super excited for you. And when we heard about this, we said, how could we help get the word out? That's not to say we didn't have questions, because you did mention the nerd association between the two. And, if we're being real, Kevin and I have been beat up by nerds in jiu-jitsu, and that's fine. But the social pecking order comes back again when we say things like, I'm sorry, how did this become something you wanted to do? Was there some sort of secret jiu-jitsu club that Kevin and I didn't know that was going on in the lunchroom in, like, Mr. Fair's room? And you guys all, like, played Magic and then decided, like, hey, let's make a jiu-jitsu video game.
Jumpstart on this jiu-jitsu thing and not tell the cool guys.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Cool guys,
yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Absolutely.
I feel like a lot of people get into jiu-jitsu. So like I was raised by like superhero television shows, X-Men, Batman, Spider-Man. And as much as I always wanted to have a superpower, it never really worked out. I always tried really hard. Hung out near radiation and all that stuff. It just didn't quite happen. So jiu-jitsu. Yeah, right. Always sit really close while the burritos go in a circle. Just hoping.
If I eat enough Taco Bell, eventually something toxic will transform me.
Right.
I didn't really get a superpower. I might have gotten a mild case of cancer, but what about you?
I've had a little bit of my colon retracted, but I'm doing great. So it just.
But anyways. Yeah, jiu-jitsu is the closest that I think we get to having a superpower, and I think it's just kind of the level of detail and the depth of the technique. It's all it very much rewards the people that can think deeply about it. So I'm not surprised that it distracts a lot of nerds, especially people that could probably benefit from feeling empowered. Nerd culture has just now kind of got mainstream. A lot of the people from my generation and before, there was nothing cool about being into comic books or video games. You were very much an outsider as far as the pecking order, as you put it, is concerned. So it doesn't surprise me that there are a lot of people in jiu-jitsu. It's crazy that a lot of them are now shredded and choking people for a living, but it's a pretty cool sport in that way. So I think the video game connection makes sense. As weird as it is, it makes sense in a strange jiu-jitsu kind of way.
And I do get it because those people have really good. There's a lot of great skills that you pick up from video games for hand-eye coordination, which tend to be really, really helpful in jiu-jitsu. But when you were putting this together, was there ever a moment that, because I know you talked to me about this idea a long time ago, and when you pitched it to me, I said, that's a great idea. And you're like, will you play it? And I go, probably not, but it's a great idea. And I was so intrigued by how laser-like focused you were about it. And when you were telling people about it, because there's that phase of, oh man, that'd be a great idea, to making it go into action. What were some of the obstacles, or just tell us a little bit about that process of how you went from concept to actualization?
Well, the concept was the easy part, right? Because just sitting around dreaming is pretty effortless. I mean, I have ideas for days. I'll never have enough time to do all the projects that I want to do.
Fascinating ideas for
yeah.
days. Sorry.
I ideas for days. So figuring out what to do wasn't necessarily the hard part for me. It's definitely evolved and matured the more people that I've talked to, and especially now that I'm working with Senior Steel Studios, a video game company that we partnered with. It's definitely been honed and refined, but getting the basic concept down just seems really natural. And I think that's just me loving video games and me being obsessed with jiu-jitsu. I think that's just kind of where that came from. But as far as actually making it happen, well, first hurdle, I can't program. So that was a pretty big killer in terms of making a game. So
I'm going to need some help. I don't know a lot about a lot, but someone's going to have to, make this thing.
I also can't draw, and that's a shame if you want graphics. So, I was thinking maybe a Zork-style game would go over well, but I've also figured out that a lot of jiu-jitsu people don't necessarily like to read all that much. So doing a text-based adventure is probably not going to fly.
Says one of the guys that writes a lot of books about jiu-jitsu, just as like a...
Well, in all honesty, and this is like the best compliment I've ever gotten in kind of a roundabout kind of way. I've had a lot of people tell me that the Cauliflower Chronicles was the first book they ever finished. Like grown men, 30 plus years old, first book they ever actually read cover to cover.
That's awesome. First of all, great job, public education. Just first of all, let's shout out the real heroes. Second of all, that is awesome. That's actually a nice compliment too. Like that's a genuine compliment.
Do you follow up with them by maybe suggesting several other books they could attempt to read? Because
like The Great Gatsby,
I feel there's
such
it's like
there's
great
some shit
responsibility that comes along with someone telling you that if somebody told me like, oh, I finished your book, my first thought is, oh my God, read other books. Oh, for the love of God, please read other stuff.
Yeah, and that's the public education system. As much as that is kind of a joke, it's not a joke. I didn't read any of the books I was assigned in school either, because a lot of them are really terrible and boring, and no wonder kids leave high school hating reading because they've never actually had a chance to read books that are good and interesting. I love books. I'm just as obsessed with books as I am jiu-jitsu. So to me, books are like the greatest thing in the world. So it really makes me sad when people are like, oh no, this is terrible. It's like, no, you just haven't been exposed to good books. And yeah, anytime someone's like, oh, I finished your books, first book I read, it's like, well, I got a whole bunch of other stuff. If you like this, you'll probably like the 4 dozen things that influenced it, right? And there's just so much out there, and the public school system doesn't really expose it to you. Like, so I love Shakespeare. I really, really love Shakespeare, but Shakespeare is not meant to be read. But every high school freshman's like, here, read Romeo and Juliet. It's like saying, oh, there's a movie for this, but why don't you just read the script because that's what we're going to do for no apparent reason. It's like, no, it's meant to be a play. Why are you making people read it? No wonder they hate words for the rest of their life. It just really.
But let's be fair though, if they don't read any kind of Shakespeare, they'll never know what's happening in Thor. So it does serve a purpose.
Yes. Yeah. So, yeah, public education system is a bummer, and I'm not sure how we got there,
I don't
but
It was
this
completely
is
my
totally
fault.
what I expected with you guys.
I was like, I don't feel solely responsible, but it's certainly my fault for planting the seeds.
Marshall's like, I just want to get people to play my video game.
Yeah,
You
guys,
ruined it all.
The game doesn't have any soliloquies about public education. I can't make that clear enough.
But we did lift the entire plot to Hamlet because we figured nobody'd know. So
Yeah.
subtext, everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. Rosencrantz and Guildenstern, they make an appearance. Eventually they die, unfortunately, but that's just
Wow.
how it goes.
But okay. So tell us about the game. So now we're at this point where you put it together. You realize you're not talented at a whole bunch of things, which been there. So you start calling on your friends and making good acquaintances of people who can do all this nonsense, which is amazing to me because I don't know how to program any of this. And you've sent me footage of what it looks like, and it's amazing. Like it looks like something you would have played on your Game Boy or your like old school computer. It harkens back with a very old school vibe that I really enjoy. So tell us a little bit about the game so that people kind of get a concept of how it works and how it plays, because there's a lot of little small clever stuff you put in this.
Yeah, it's well, thank you. It's an 8-bit retro style. I mean, it's very much designed to play on as many nostalgia heartstrings as possible. So that style, we picked for a lot of different reasons. First of all, it's really funny to try to make a game that pretends to be serious in that style, because when the first time a wild neckbeard attacks you, you're really not sure how to react to that, because you got this like 8-bit blocky character attacking you using neckbeard moves like Google Foo and stuff like that. So yeah, making it happen was interesting. So speaking of my nerd roots here, in high school I ran a server for Ultima Online. It was like World of Warcraft, if you're familiar. It was like the precursor to World of Warcraft. It was the first massively multiplayer online game, and you could run your own server if you had the right software. I should not be admitting these things to you guys. I'm going to regret it, but so I had some
Marshall.
background.
Part of me wants to make fun of your nerdiness, obviously. I mean, it goes without saying. The crowd's on it. So it's part of me is like, hey, you should try doing your research before the next project. This seems a little shallow, but go on.
The other thing is,
Yeah.
you can't see this, Marshall, but I've just written on a large piece of paper 8 trillion times, just nerd. I'm not. It's a good thing people can't see that. It's just what it says. But go on.
Well, the reason I bring that up is I've dabbled enough to know what I don't know, and to find people that actually know what they're talking about. So, I connected with an old college friend of mine, Anthony Vaccaro, and his brother Nick Vaccaro. Anthony's an artist. His brother's a programmer. And then another guy named Mike works with them on design stuff, and they've been slaving away pretty hard to put a company together of their own, and they're right there at that indie startup status that I love about Artichoke. They're so small that really they can do anything they want. They have a lot of freedom. If something fails, who cares? It's not like they have a big company to risk. I think they're going to get there someday, but they're just at that nice, at that beautiful stage of a bunch of potential is open to them. So this is their first official corporate project is Dojo Storm. And it's weird to think that Artichoke's now corporate. That's kind of sad. But yeah. So we connected with Sinner Steel, and we've been plugging away at this for about a year. It's been a lot of work. I'm doing all the writing and all the back end stuff, but really Anthony and Nick are the major heroes here. Anthony's artwork is amazing. All the character sketches he's done, and what's even better is, it's also kind of terribly weird, is they don't do jiu-jitsu. They know about it because I do it, and Anthony's known me for a long time, so he's had a general idea of what jiu-jitsu is, but trying to explain to him what the inside joke around worm guard is so that he can visually represent a character that uses Worm Guard. It makes for some many long, weird late night conversations about what that means, or a catch wrestling character that goes by the name Hooker, because that's what catch wrestlers call themselves, right? That's one of the names for catch wrestlers is Hooker, and it's like trying to explain that.
Really?
Yeah. It's
Didn't know that.
It's different. It's different. So all these little weird wrinkles in our sport, having to verbalize them also makes the jokes funnier, because then you have to explain them so well that Anthony can represent it in artwork, which has made it it's a really strange ride of a game. And it gets stranger now that Polaris and Scramble are supporting it.
Hey.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys plan on talking about that, but the Polaris is a big sponsor for the game. You're actually trying to win the Polaris Team Invitational, and along the way you discover that the McDojo virus has broken out in Pittsburgh and threatening to destroy jiu-jitsu forever, so you have to stop it. It's a weird journey, man. It's been a crazy.
I was like, we also talked to those
game.
guys. That's awesome. That's really cool. It's like I'm just glad to hear you're teaming up with some. Are they also like? Are they going to do anything in the next? Because if they're part of it, so they're like the entire theme of the game is to try and win sort of the Polaris prize.
Yeah, that's the main quest. Yeah, and you discover the McDojo virus threat along the way, and you're trying to save jiu-jitsu while you're also trying to win your first major world championship.
And if people out there are thinking, God, how do I get my hands on this first? Well, that's easy. $10 you donate to the Indiegogo campaign, sponsoring this fantastic stuff right now, and you get first access download.
Yeah, we give early access, so that way you get the game before anybody else does. You also get an invitation to a closed beta when we're at that point. When the game's just about finished. Yeah.
Does an invitation to a closed beta come like hand delivered? Is that how it's, ladies and gentlemen, first $10, Marshal Carper will fly to your house, hand you a personal Veda invitation, and get a tattoo with you about the game. How's that sound? Right? Let's get the word out.
I never have any idea what's going to happen when I get on this show. I just never ever prepared. I just trying to keep up.
It's the primer we hand out to all of our guests, which is you won't know what's happening, and most of the times neither will we. But we'll all take the journey together. And okay, so Marshall, you've got this Indiegogo. Maybe that's where Kevin is alluding to, where people can contribute because the bulk of the work is done, but you need a money supply to get through the last leg of it.
Yeah, so basically we've shouldered all of the burden in terms of development costs. A lot of video game Indiegogos, and again we're going to talk a little bit nerd here. There's been a few big video game crowdfunding campaigns in the last couple months. The spiritual successor to Banjo and Kazooie, the spiritual successor to Castlevania, and if you guys don't know what any of these are, that's fine. I'm just going to go speak directly to my nerd people at this point. Those campaigns started out with a goal of around $500,000 to $1 million, and they've raised close to 2.5 a piece, respectively. We're asking for $3,400 because we're not paying for salaries, we're not covering office space, we're not trying to get our funders to back all our marketing expenses. We just need a couple pieces of hardware and a little bit of software to do a full platform release. So right now we can release directly to Android, but we also want to do an iOS and a PC release all at the same time. That way many people as possible can play it.
Wait,
so
hold on.
To get through there.
Let me get this straight. You have it ready for Android, so Android users will get it first?
Oh, yeah. Android users will get it first.
Son
absolutely.
of a bitch. I literally just switched to an iPhone.
I'm not a huge Apple fan. I'm not gonna lie. That's gonna sound blasphemous to a lot of people. But
not a time for
I
your
love
preferences.
Luckily, they're not a sponsor, Marshalls. You're free to say.
Luckily, yes. Yeah. Actually, Apple offered, then we declined.
Yeah, we said no on principle. We're like, sorry, we really enjoy working with Marshall. Not a big fan of yours. That's how we make business decisions. Good day.
Listen, Marshall, this is crushing because I've lived in an inverted world, and not inverted where I'm just, trying to attack from there, but in an inverted world in technology for way too long because every time I've wanted an app, my phone is too slow, too old, too dumb. Now I have this great
To
phone.
not Apple. It's basically.
You're now telling me, well, Raph, hold on, we may get to you. Okay, I'm good. It's about more than just me. I know.
Yeah.
So I'm fairly confident we will. I mean, it's a small goal. This is well, no. In all seriousness, yeah, I know serious is a weird word for you guys. It was just bear with me. It's a small goal. This is our second crowdfunding campaign. We crowdfunded Mastering the Crucifix, and we delivered on everything on that. It was another small goal. We just needed a little bit of equipment to get Matt Kirtley's first book out. So crowdfunding is a weird thing because there's a lot of big sell campaigns that have just kind of evaporated. A lot of people have given up money and the project just kind of falls apart and disappears and nobody hears about it again. There's even been a few of those in the jiu-jitsu world, unfortunately. And we're really proud to not be one of them. Everything that we crowdfund, we deliver and try to make things everything very reasonable. Like everything we're asking for in terms of crowdfunding, and we try to make it very close to the retail value or better. Just trying to do the right thing by the community. You know what I mean? It's a tricky thing for us, but we always want to try to do the right thing.
And I felt that you were doing a nice sell of it because I did want to mention that you did have a previous crowdfund and it went well. And I think part of the reason why it went so well is because all of you guys, you and Kirtley, you have not only good reputations, but you guys are consistently trying to do something that's new for the sport, which is the most important aspect of the whole thing because it's easy to continue doing technique videos till day's end. And I know that you can do those. You've even done 3D versions of those. So for you guys to be doing this is kind of like that next step of fun things that can exist outside of the jiu-jitsu we know. So I think that's great. I think that you guys are putting it together and it's really smart and it's fun. Having said that, I started looking through some of your perks. And they're not bad. I mean, Kevin, they're not bad, right?
Not bad.
It's not to say that they couldn't be improved.
I'm all ears. I got a pen and paper ready. Well,
Okay.
scratch that pencil. We might have to erase some of these. I just don't know what's coming
First
next,
of all, insulting.
I'm ready.
But Kevin and I wanted to pitch a few at you. So are you're good to take some of those down now?
Yeah. Go for it. I'm ready.
All right, Kev. What was the first one you were going to pitch to Marshall in terms of what he can do?
First of all, 350 be a character in the game. I think that should say any game, right? Like super easy. You just you can submit outfits for Mortal Kombat. That was suggestion 1. I just wanted to make sure that was correct.
Okay, that's good.
Okay.
I wanted to pitch this to you because you said you can't draw. Well, that makes me think, man, I would really like to see Marshall draw because if he says he can't, well, now I got to see it.
Well, that's how you know it has effort, right, Raph?
Yeah, exactly.
When someone's like, I can't do that, so I should.
Absolutely. So I feel like Marshall should have to maybe say you got a 60 to 350 kind of little buffer
Range
here.
here.
There's a lot of range. It's like $300. So let's say for what, Kev? 200, 2 bills?
Yeah.
Marshall has to draw you a 1-page graphic novel about you. Or anything you're interested in.
Gonna capture
1-page
all of
graphic novella, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah. And so it also $20 game plus white belt problems. Why not for $25 offer game plus white belt problems plus white belt used? And just send them a white belt of someone that was good as a white belt. Then you're done.
Oh, that's a great idea. It's like, hey, Gary Tonin, you got that white belt. You don't need it anymore.
Yeah, it's just a $5. Come on. What were you going to do with it? Frame it? Here is $5. You can go get yourself a burger. Obviously not Manhattan, but other places.
That's how you exchange rate with Gary.
That
most
feels
fighters,
like,
really.
yeah, that feels like one of those weird vending machines in Japan where you get like underwear that's been worn already. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I can see why that would appeal to you. Yeah, sure.
Well, first of all, leading, but second of all, with Gary, you have to use the concept of that belt probably didn't see a lot of life. Okay, maybe not that. Okay, let's talk about this, Marshall. Your favorite TV show is what?
Oh man, my favorite TV show. That's a hardball question. We talking now or ever?
Let's say both.
Oh man, so Scrubs is pretty awesome. I've
All right.
watched a lot of Scrubs.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
and I think now Silicon Valley.
Okay. Those are two quality shows, and one Kevin does remarkable work on Silicon Valley. I'm not gonna lie, but wait, is that T.J. Miller? I think they're the same person. Anyway, the important part about this is that for the low cost of $500, in addition to all those other perks and the business sponsorship, Marshall will give you a 1-hour call about either Scrubs or Silicon Valley. Your discretion, but just those two.
I'm all over that. I mean, I would do that for free. $500 easy for sure.
No, shut up, Marshall. Don't tell them you'll do it for free. Nobody will take you up on that. There's
Did
got to be
I
some
tell you
nerd
I'm
out
really bad at business? Because that's starting to come out in this call.
No, Marshall. He'll do good things with the money. We promise people. Shh, Marshall, stop talking. Okay, all right. So Marshall's going there. Marshall, you know the weirdest part about this? I'm looking through all of your different ideas here. Okay, what's the name of the game again?
Super Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu Dojo Storm Championship Edition.
Interesting. So the words Dojo Storm are in the title, and yet
They are in the
there's
title.
no effort to offer to Dojo Storm someone's academy.
See, that's tough, man. That's another thing I do for free on the weekends. You know,
No, God, for the love of fucking God.
Well, listen, there's a lot of karate schools in the area. You know, there's all these kids that they think they're tough. They really think that they're fighters, and I mean, it's a hard knock of life. They gotta learn what's up. So I hang outside of Chuck E. Cheese, and that's how it goes down.
God, Marshall, for the love of God. Kev, did you have another one for him?
I'm not. We're gonna go past the Chuck E. Cheese thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's kind of weird to say I hang outside Chuck E. Cheese. Yeah, that's yeah.
I would
Yeah,
like
we
to
should
point
move on.
out there is no opportunity for you to read Cauliflower Chronicles, Mastering the Crucifix, or the Strategy Guide out loud to anyone. And, back to the aforementioned, people aren't reading. How convenient would it be if, Atos just rented you to read this to their new blue belts in competition school, just back and forth? I'm just throwing out, big-ticket school decisions. It's hire Marshall Carper to personally audiobook all of his 7,000 books he read in jiu-jitsu.
So you mean I get a call from Andre or Keenan, and I just kind of
Both.
sit in their living
That's what
room
I mean,
while
Marshall. They call you up and they do the old good cop, bad cop, and that's the thing. They put you in the old corner, and it's hey, we'd really like your help. And then Keenan bangs his hand down. He's like, God damn it, Marshall. We are going to do this, and that's how they kind of...
This is exactly how it would go. It would be Galvo going hey, it's Galvo. Just wanted the book. It's very good. And then Keenan will chime in and be like, yeah, hey, Marshall, you're putting together a pretty good book. But let's be real. People want to hear Keenan read books, because that'd be really interesting. So I think I should read it for you. And that's where you make your money. Keenan Cornelius reads Marshall Carper's The Cauliflower Chronicles.
Oh, God.
Ta-da! Done.
Retract my last one. That one's better. Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually not bad. I mean, I would do that. I would do that in a heartbeat. Would we also offer a Portuguese version or a bad Portuguese accent?
No, bad Portuguese is way better. I don't think you know this, but as I mentioned, in getting a new phone, I've had to teach it all of the bad Portuguese that my old phone knew. And now,
I know exactly what it's like. Omoplata. What is this?
But those are moves, so that kind of makes sense. But today I tried hashtagging Hispect, but it didn't work. And it was really angering me that it was no, not hashtag respect. It's hashtag Huspect. Come on.
Yeah, that's Apple still trying to protect the sanctity of the English language, and it's just not. It's not working. It's not working.
Don't give me your shit, Carper. Jesus Christ.
He used the word sanctity. Like, we know what that means.
Oh, okay. Marshall, using
Well,
words
I said it out
and
loud. You didn't have to
sentences.
read it.
I know, we got it. Marshall's been really, really brushing up on his spelling bees.
At Marshal D. Carper on Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
And artichokemedia.com.
And
Though I also still want to open up heartofartichokemedia.com just to F with him, so let's keep that in the back pocket.
Listen. I've been trying to find a way to get Artichoke Hearts involved in the business name somehow. Like, 'cause we have artichoke in a can, and the Artichoke Hearts thing always just comes out real creepy. Like, I feel like it'd have to be like a dirty jiu-jitsu magazine or something. Like, I can't find any serious application for it.
well, you can also find the Indigo campaign. Where can they find that? Probably on your website, or where else are you putting it?
So you can definitely check out artichokemedia.com for it. SuperDojoStorm.com will also redirect you to our campaign.
Sweet. Okay, so you guys want to find that, go ahead and donate. Please, please. They're responsible with money, despite how Marshall has been saying otherwise on the show. So they know what they're doing. And we'd love to see this thing come to fruition. But Kev, I don't know if you saw this, but before we let Marshall go, we have to have a few words with him.
Yeah. About what specifically? I'm sure you're right. But
I'm so glad that Kevin just blindly agrees to it without being like, yeah, we do. And
we
what is that
definitely
thing?
need to talk about something.
Well, two things. You need to talk to him about something.
Oh, yes. I might owe him a certain video from a while back about losing UFC picks.
Oh, yeah?
And I might have done some shooting just today in anticipation of this visit, and you've even sent Raph visible proof that it's happening.
That's pretty incredible. That's
That's
a blast from the past.
Yeah.
It is. So you should get ready for your Christmas cards to be filled with cheer and excitement and a little confusion.
Probably
Some confusion from friends and family members.
some serious editing, though. That's for
This
damn sure.
2015, Marshall Carper, you will have the world's most Christmas cards ever seen.
I cannot wait. Absolutely cannot wait.
And that will do it for Kevin's comment, but mine's a little more serious, Marshall. And I hope
Lay
you're
it
ready.
on me.
All right. What's this business about you starting a podcast?
Oh, see, it's specifically not a podcast.
No,
because
It doesn't say the word
call
podcast on it.
It's the Artichoke, not a show. See, it's right in the title. It's not a show. So you don't need to feel threatened. And
First of all, let me make this very clear. It's not threatened. I don't feel threatened by you,
It's the
Carper.
first time hearing of it. I just feel
you
the sharp
have
sting.
you have that
of a
kind of
slap.
tone in your voice.
I
You know?
have the tone that I give to every person who puts up a rival lesser podcast to ours. So yes, I do have a tone, but not like, oh, no, I'm scared, Marshall. Oh. It's more of a, how dare you, Marshall?
Yeah.
This is not an easy game we got going on here, okay?
When your friend
Well,
pulls
we're
his
not
glove out
even-
of his pocket, slaps it across your face, and challenges you to a duel, it's that feeling. That's which is just normal.
Yeah,
That's-
I don't feel like it's competition because ours is video. Yours has that classic audio feel. It's
I think I see what he's
Yeah.
doing. there.
Wow.
I think
mean,
like a
line in
retro
the sand.
80s kind of feel, Marshall.
I
That's
mean,
good enough for video
it's just
games,
very,
but not for
it's just
listening.
very, very, very golden age of media. Fireside chats, that whole kind of thing.
Well, to bring it
Yeah,
circle,
you guys
the
have that
outsiders
locked
told
down.
me to stay gold, and I read it, Marcus. Wait. I'm fucking done. I'm done.
I'm going to tell you this right here, right now, Marshall. You entered this podcast game, it's not just going to come from me. Paul Moran has cut people. He has stabbed other podcasts that have shown up out of thin air. This game is no joke, so I'm letting you know. This is your warning. You come in on this territory, you and those two other people who seem like wonderfully nice human beings. I'm not going to lie. They seem actually upstanding. It's on.
Tanya and Kate, the people he's doing the podcast with, whoever they are.
I love it. That's amazing, actually. But to return to the bit, well, Paul, me and Paul had a long chat about it. So it's kind of like I'm that young buck gangster that shows up, and there's all those old guys in the room, and I'm like, it's time for a change. And I walk out, and I'm making all kinds of deals behind the scenes. So me and Paul are cool. We got our own deal worked out. Our turf is taken care of. I'm kicking him a little bit of my web traffic business. That's an analogy. If I was like, I don't know, running guns or something, like whatever gangsters do. Yeah. 2 points. That's 2 points.
Okay. Well, when he stabs you in the back with what I think was probably like a pen or an acai stick, I don't really know, one of the two. But I'm just letting you know. But Paul's not the only one. I'm just saying there's a whole underground podcast layer you don't want to get involved with.
No, listen, don't. I specifically said not a show because I don't want to have a beef with you guys. The Inside BJJ guys are crazy. I don't want to have a beef with them. I'm definitely trying to keep this peaceful.
Well, we will be watching, as will our audience. You guys can go catch Marshal's Not a Show, which, as a person who's worked in Hollywood, never heard that before. But where can they catch it?
It's on YouTube, and you can also get it at artichokemedia.com.
Sweet.
Artichokemedia.com. Marshall, we always appreciate it when you swing by. Ladies and gentlemen, Marshall.
No, it's always a blast, guys. I appreciate it.
D. Carper.
All about the D.
Kev, one of the things that we have to do as part of our community service here on the show is to talk a little bit about the submission tournaments and events that are going on, not just on American soil.
So you say.
Far away one.
So you say we have to do it on all corners of the globe, every one of them.
Yes. It's helping people understand. It's like a geography lesson, if you would, because let's face it, not everybody knows where other places are. For example, our next guest, he is putting on Submission Series, a series of jiu-jitsu events and tournaments that take place in Nova Scotia, which I'm
Never heard of it.
Kevin,
not a real place.
Is somewhere in the Canada, which I believe was once called America Junior.
Oh. That's fascinating.
Is
I
that
actually
true?
didn't know that last little fact.
Yeah, America Junior. So anyway, ladies and gentlemen, please give a nice welcome to our good friend, Adam Fraser. Adam, how are you doing, man?
Hey, guys. What's up?
Not much. So let's get all the Canadian jokes out of the way. Or should I say, out of the A? You do me a favor and just say the word about.
About. How's that?
That was so strained. I love the amount of strain you can hear in the voice of "oh ball." You sound like Arnold Schwarzenegger with the up and that thumb. Now that we've gotten that out of the way, tell us a little bit about you. And your event is called Submission Series. Am I missing that?
No, you got her bang on. Submission Series Pro is our official company name, but. Yeah, so we've been up and running for about a year in, as you say, a place called Nova Scotia in Canada. Mm-hmm. We do not all live in igloos, but was a great deal of snow this winter. Crazy. Thousands and thousands of feet just went on all the winter long. Anyway, so we got some submission jiu-jitsu events happening. We had one in January of this year past. And we've got a couple more of them planned across Canada over the coming year. And hopefully we're going to expand into the United States in the new year.
That's great. And I have to follow up by asking you this because, Kevin is a huge fan of no-gi season. But I feel that where you guys are, it's so cold that do you welcome the gi more than others? Because that seems warmer.
Yeah, no summer weight gis here, guys. Everybody's fully bundled up, right? 3 belts. And,
Or do they wear more than one gi when they're rolling?
no, but it's
Just
very,
because they're
very
low
common
key.
for guys to wear a rash guard and the spats under their gi. So just so you know.
Really, like as not as a statement on how in shape they are, like they do it here in the U.S., but they're like,
Yeah.
that's how I get down. Okay.
Nothing to do with being buff. No.
Okay, you guys are taking a little bit of a step forward too, because I at least know, and I, right as Raph was talking about, we were chatting about having you guys onto the podcast. I also saw the Michael Lear Jr. was fighting for you guys coming up very shortly, which is the June 20th, right? Maybe.
Yeah, June 20th in Halifax. We're gonna have a free live stream, so anybody who's outside of the catchment area there can watch it on the internet. And we've got the Era Junior is going to fight Marcos Tinoco from Marcelo Garcia's in New York, and we're going to fly both those guys in to headline our card. Super excited. It's going to be a war.
How did you guys get them specifically together? What was it that interested you about seeing them put together a match?
I guess the kind of the background of this is we're always throwing around ideas about different ways we can promote jiu-jitsu, and we're always thinking of this East versus West, and just trying to find different spins on just to kind of make it interesting for the people in the jiu-jitsu community, right? You see tons of matches.
They did that with hip hop too. Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Tupac and Biggie. Yeah, we've seen this before. Adam, we know where you're bringing this from.
Kevin, where are your manners? He is Canadian. He doesn't know what rap is. How dare you?
They're stealing our turf wars genre, Raph. That's not okay. You know how long we've worked to cultivate that?
Region of North America.
Yeah, no rap up here, just bagpipes and all good. So that's kind of where our head was, and who's the big school on the West Coast? Right,
Atos.
so guys at Atos, and who's on the East Coast, right? And we had Jonathan Satava come up and headline our first card. He fought Kyle Sanford, Renzo Gracie black belt out of Halifax, and just being somebody who was I got to sit in the audience of the first, and we have all our shows in like a Broadway style theater, so it's a bit of a different way to watch jiu-jitsu, and being somebody who's been at hundreds of competitions and watch things, it gets kind of dull. You sit there all day long, you're watching the same guys you've seen fight before. This is a whole new way to see jiu-jitsu, and myself sitting in the audience watching it that first event, it was like, this is amazing. This we have to share this. So that's kind of where it came from.
Absolutely. And what can we expect talk to us about some of the other fights?
Yeah. So we got, in terms of, the local guys that we've got on the card here. Coach,
which I like, because you were talking to us. That's important to you guys to promote.
So
submission grappling.
Yeah, no kidding. I think the big thing is that we want to be able to give these up and coming hungry guys, at brown and purple, an opportunity, even at black belt, an opportunity to test themselves against some of the best in the world. And that's really always been the driving idea behind the promotion, is how can we get people to come and watch their local heroes, match up their skills against some of the best grapplers in the world. And we've really got an opportunity to do that. I think in Halifax here coming up, the card is we've got, I think at this point, we've got 4 guys coming in from Atos. And like you said, some of the names are, these guys are a big deal. We've got Josh Hinger, who's going to come in and fight Jarrett McIntosh. He's actually Kat and I's coach. He's a black belt here, Renzo Gracie black belt. And you guys know who Josh Hinger is. Just
Of course we do, but hold on. I didn't know he was fighting your instructor.
Yeah.
Let's take a moment for that.
That's awesome.
Can we expect some WWE antics where if things aren't going well for your instructor, there's just kind of a foreign object that happens to take Josh out? Because I know Josh. I like him. He's a good guy.
Awesome.
But I've
Super
watched
susceptible
enough
to a steel
wrestling
chair.
in my time to know never to trust the authority in charge.
Right. We're going to have completely impartial refs, so no worries.
Okay. I will be watching my stream very suspiciously with one eye open. and one eye slightly closed. That's amazing, though. So,
Yeah,
what was it that you were when you're looking to put up an event for your own instructor? I have never done this. I don't know that I will.
yeah.
What are you looking for to take on your own instructor, and how does that process go when you're saying like, "Hey, you want to fight?" I thought, you're not so good at the inverted guard, but this guy, I mean, you're great at a lot of things, but like this guy's really good at that. Let's see what that looks like. How does that go?
Yeah. Bringing the best guy in the world at inverted guard. Yeah, no, I get you. No, completely. Listen, I mean, the in terms of the jiu-jitsu community in Nova Scotia, in the Maritimes generally, which is we refer to the whole east coast of Canada as the Maritimes. Basically, there's so few black belts and so few guys at that really high level that it's pretty limited in who. So we want to be able to put people in the seats. We want them to come out, see their guy that they spent a lifetime hearing about and watching in competition, and just really see how he does, like we said, against somebody that's one of the biggest names in the world at the moment.
Which is so damn cool. I like that idea too. And talk to me about the format. How long? Submission grappling, so it's submission only, presumably heel hooks. Like, what do we got? Because it's in gi too, so I'm curious.
Yeah, we got a mixed match, sort of a mishmash of gi and no gi matches, and we're following IBJJF black belt rules. So basically, with 15 minutes, anything goes within that rule set. Basically the guys go to war. And in our first event, it was, from somebody watching it for the first time like that, it was absolutely seeing jiu-jitsu in a whole new way. It was not something you're going to see, at a tournament or anything like that. It was absolutely incredible on the stage, spotlights on them, and it's totally intense for the guys fighting. I mean, there's no question that, it added a bit of stress. It's everybody in that place, 400 or 500 people, all eyes on them. And I mean, everything is on the line. It's really powerful. It's great.
Got me all excited now about it. Now I'm like stoked.
And considering that you guys are going ahead and doing other events, what is it that you guys are looking for those participants? Like, what is the thing that's really, like, if you're a competitor, what is it that you feel that you're looking for at your tournaments as opposed to maybe anybody else's?
I think the big part of it, just because we're a bit of a grassroots getting going at this point, and we're trying to get our name out there and get the name recognition going and that kind of thing. People who have a big, have a good social media presence, I think that's a big part of it. Also, have a good stacked resume in terms of wins at their local level, even international. And then I guess the other thing is we're not all about black belt. We're definitely want to give these up and coming guys. And then really in Canada, there's, the community is so small that some of the really best guys are still at that level, at that purple and brown and just getting into black. So we want to be able to offer up an opportunity to those guys to get their name out there, prove themselves. And really it's kind of like a David versus Goliath thing, because you bring in these really high-level black belts and these guys who competed in the world stage and bring them into these, the small towns, the smaller communities, and they go up against these guys. Who's got the most to lose there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and so that's the hook, right? I mean, and it's powerful. Everybody who's seen our events has just been floored.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's so sick. Man, and Kev, what is it that you think, because he's obviously not going to say a bad thing about other tournaments because obviously Canadian, polite. So what's something that we can say that you're going to see here that you're not going to see on any other tournament, Kev?
You're going to see them have enough time to really strategize positions. You're not going to see people waste a lot of time doing 50-50 transitions that don't set up submission. That's what I think you're going to see that will be nice and in contrast.
And I think, that's pretty good. I think
no advantage point decisions. I don't know.
Advantage. That's right.
Everybody who watches is going to be sent free acai. Granted, you have to go to Nova Scotia to get your free acai.
But once you're in Nova Scotia, you can eat it anywhere. They're not going to sequester you to a certain part of Nova Scotia.
That's right. There's no acai jail in Nova Scotia. It's outlawed.
That's a little
That's so great. So
with the
you've got that
world.
guy. You've got that coming up. What is it? So where can people find it, and where can people get all of the information they want to about this event?
Yeah, we got a page on Facebook. You can check us out there, Submission Series Pro, and you can also check out our website, www.submissionseriespro.ca.
Very
Everything.
Look at that. He's got it nice and memorized too, Raph. That's
Yeah.
good. It's like I'm actually staring at the website. I'm looking forward to the point where I will be able to stream this thing because I'm a streamer out here on the East Coast.
Awesome.
So my hopes are I've got strong tuitions because I'd like to see these matches because you've kind of got me into it. It's like I love the idea of like these sort of like barnstormer type shows, especially as you're bringing in grappling and. Yeah, it's cool for people like Atos and people like the locals alike. I like this a lot. So we're big supporters of what you're doing, and we wish you the best of luck.
I really appreciate it, guys.
Submission Series Pro. Forgive them for being Canadian. That just happens to be where they started training jiu-jitsu. And forgive us for being from wherever we are. Lord knows. That goes both ways. Adam, thanks so much for swinging by the podcast this evening.
Yeah, no worries. Thanks a lot, guys.
Back by mildly popular demand, of course, Travis T Money Conley from Underground Gym, also a fighter on the jiu-jitsu scene out of KCBJJ, which is still, I love training there. It's such a fun place. Last time the door was shattered because someone had kind of just gone through it almost a little bit, and they just boarded it up and kept training. It was December and 10 degrees outside. Yeah, ice will cover it up. Travis, how are you doing this evening?
Doing fantastic. I love the shattered glass that was imprinted into your mind because I mean that's how it goes. I mean, what are you gonna do? You board it up and you keep training.
Yeah, and there was also a warning. They were like, "Hey,
name a few things you could do. Stop."
Raph, I swear to fuck, they said avoid that corner. There still might be some glass on the mat. Which is just good stuff. Travis, you've still been fighting that jiu-jitsu sport with the competitive angle I've seen.
Yeah, of course. Just got done with the Worlds, and 2 weeks before that, I was in Kazakhstan for USA Sambo. Competed on the U.S. team out there, and got shit pounded by some of the best, Sambo players in the world. So always gunning for it.
You compete high-level jiu-jitsu all the time, gi, no gi. How do you differently train when you're trying to sambo it? What did you see? I guess we know you train for everything, but what did you see difference competition-wise?
Well, the difference is just the tempo and just the rules. Like, it's hard to explain exactly how different it is because it's very similar, but you have to train, like, for example, like to hit an armbar in 10 seconds or 5 seconds, you have to constantly show progress. So jiu-jitsu is more chess, more, almost like a boa constrictor. It's a slow, like, agonizing death and chess match, if you will. Sambo is much quicker. Like, if you can't hit that armbar in 5 seconds, if you don't show continuous progress, boom, you're standing up. So you have to train like differently in that regard. And to be honest with you, I'm just now realizing this. Like, you can't go in and wing it and just call it in the ring and do some sambo. Like you gotta properly prepare. And there's a reason why, like, the whole Western Hemisphere and the world, like, there's not really any good sambo. If I'm going to be honest with you, it's all Eastern Europe, Central Asia. Like, that's where it's at. It'd be like going down to Brazil and like training for like a year and then like entering as a black belt at nationals and trying to do some damage. It's like the equivalent. So
yeah, but I love
it was a rude awakening
Yeah. This was like what you're describing is what you did. You kind of picked up
Yeah.
Sambo as an emergency because we needed a fighter. We needed somebody to go do it. And then you
Yeah, they
qualified.
they called me in like a week, and they're like, Travis, we need you in Kazakhstan, and I'm like, who is this? What? Like, and then a week later, I have my itinerary, and I'm going, and I'm just probably because I'm crazy enough to go do it, and
You like the
they know
uniforms. We get
yeah.
it.
So
Yeah.
But Travis,
Hot
when they
shorts and
call
a
you
key
using
top.
that accent, aren't you afraid it's like some sort of weird evil villain from a Bruce Willis movie?
You're not 50-50 on taking the flight.
yeah, Hans Gruber was German, I believe. So
He was
I don't know if I
definitely
was-
German.
I don't
Or
know if I
Austrian.
was doing a German accent. I was shooting for more of a Russian accent because the guys at USA Sambo that called me have more of a Russian accent, and I may not have hit that, but
Eh,
some weird Russian called me and said I was needed in Kazakhstan, and I'm like, who is this? It was the guy I hadn't dealt with before. So once I
That's
figured it
awesome.
out, I was like, okay.
They just need me to grapple. They need me to fight. Normal stuff.
Yeah.
Hey, that's what we need you here for tonight, if I'm correct, Raph.
I'm the go-to
Yes.
guy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well,
And I'm wearing the Sambo uniform, so I presume he is too.
yes, of course he is. So, we brought you in, as Kevin mentioned. We need a fighter because we have these UFC picks, that just don't do themselves. Like, they don't guess themselves. So that means that we need to have Kevin be challenged by somebody who can take him on and has beaten him mentally and physically.
Yeah, well, we
Yeah.
have trained, if that's what you're hinting at. And yes, he did.
Yeah.
I guess you would say he won by advantage. It's not.
Who was keeping score? I mean,
I don't
come on.
remember anyone keeping score, but probably just an advantage.
Just an advantage.
Do you get-
It was that.
There's no advantages for Neon Face though. I don't think so.
That might be true.
No.
Just,
So you might have tied all together, I guess. Is what we're really
it
looking
felt
at
like a
here.
tie. Yeah, it felt like a tie then. Yeah, that's how it felt.
Well, I guess the reason why it's
42 knees on face, equivalent to 0 points.
And I think I tapped too quick that it doesn't count, so you get to keep rolling, which is nice. That's a good mulligan rule.
Did you tap 3 times too quickly? Because if you tap really quickly, it's just 1, and technically you
Yeah.
really need 3.
Yeah, well, that was obviously. I wasn't
Okay,
going to
just
tap
wanted to
4.
check.
I'm not an asshole. I was just
No.
going to tap enough that it doesn't count. I know the rules. Thank you.
Well, now that we have Travis on, I think it's time that we play another installment of Over Under Kevin.
And now it's time for the thrilling installment of Over Under Kevin.
Just gets that echo, and I love it.
Yeah, that's really good. Yep.
That was
I love
impressive.
that Travis actually enjoyed the play on music that we had here. We can be legit sometimes. So Travis, here's the way how this game works. And if you're new to listening to this podcast, I'll go over it. It's very easy. Each participant gets 15 seconds to say who they think will win at this weekend's UFC 188. Then, if I so feel like it, they will get 15 seconds of rebuttal time. And basically, it's best out of, it looks like we got 12 fights here, and there will be tiebreakers if we need them, which, let's be reasonable, most people don't need tiebreakers with Kevin. But if we do so need them, they will be fight of the night and performances of the night if they are so guessed accurately. Travis, do you understand these rules? Does this all make sense to you?
Yes.
Good.
So it's like
I'm
I went
very
on to important things in my head, but sure, whatever. That sounds right.
Sure. I mean, maybe you're in his head, though, Kev. Maybe he's
I'm
a little
definitely
afraid of
in his
you.
Yeah,
Because maybe
oh,
this is
that's-
your home court advantage.
That's the case. Yeah, he's pretty nervous. I can tell. I can hear it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Hold on. Let me calm my heart rate down and sit down. for a
Thanks.
second.
Yeah, sniper tactics here, Travis. Let's stay composed.
All right. Any final words to each other? Kevin, do you have any words of wisdom that you would like to impart to Travis?
I mean, fortunately, we're both products of the same high school, so I know he's not a quicker reader than I am. I know that I have a chance here just at the soulness of, I'm staring at the fight card. I'm staring at it. I'm
Any
picking
response
people.
from you, Travis?
Yeah, I'm staring at a blank wall, and I'll still do better. So
Well, Let's make this happen then. Gentlemen, remember, protect yourselves at all times, and to keep this a dirty fight, let's go to our very first fight. Kevin, you're going to lead us off on this one. It is a women's strawweight fight between Tisha Torres and Angela Hill. You got 15 on the clock, go.
Yeah, first of all, Tisha Torres' nickname is the Tiny Tornado. As a Kansan,
You
offense
said her
taken.
name wrong already.
Well, offense taken, Travis. I'm not voting for anyone with the tornado in their title. I'm going with Angela Overkill Hill.
All right. Let's go to Travis. You got 15 on the clock. Although, should I take a few seconds off because he jumped into Kevin's time?
I'm telling you, tornado
Nah, I'm
is
not going
way
to do
into
it.
my...
Let's go to Travis. 15 on the clock, go.
Well, I will pick Tisha Torres, not Teresa or whatever Kevin said.
Okay, is there any particular reason you're going to pick her?
Her wrestling is better, and she's a stronger fighter.
Okay.
I've seen her before, so she's going to take it, and that's just really embarrassing if you have the fight card in front of you and you still pronounce her name wrong.
15 on the clock, Kevin. Your response.
First of all, I can't believe he's just going to glide past the insensitivity towards our home state of Kansas with the Tiny Tornado. Second of all, yeah, I might have pronounced her name incorrectly. That's going to happen. She is from the USA, so it's hard to tell how to pronounce it. Just saying.
Well, I think that's as good a reason as any. Travis, we're going to start off with you on this one. It is a flyweight match, and it's between Chico Camus and Henry Cejudo. You've got 15, go.
Henry Cejudo, youngest Olympic champion in U.S. history. There's enough said.
Okay, 6, 5, 4. All right, I guess he's done.
Well,
Kev, you got 15
easy.
on the clock.
I'm pretty sure they're not fighting at the Olympics, Travis. Chico Camus, the king. Big upset in this one, but 15-5. I like it over the up-and-comer Cejudo. And I would just like to remind everyone it's an MMA match, not the Olympics. Boom. Boom. Look out.
Travis?
I'm pretty sure I knew it was not the Olympics that he's training MMA and he's in MMA. Having an Olympic champion holds weight in everything else you do. So.
Kev, you've made mistakes before on this show overlooking somebody's wrestling. Do you feel you're doing that here again?
No. Come on. Study a real martial art, Cejudo. I mean, let's just go on. Don't joke, crap.
Wow.
No one submits because you got wrestled. I'm just saying.
Oh, no. Please send all hate mail to Phillips Kevin 1 on the Twitter and not Verbal Tap Cast, because that is the opinion of one of us, the dumb one, not me. Travis, I have to ask you this, though. Before we go any further, you're looking at this fight. You're talking about Henry. He's had trouble making weight before, and multiple times. Do you think that's something that you overlook easily? I mean, obviously he's got a great wrestling background, but is he taking this whole UFC run seriously enough, or I don't know? Do you see any perspective that we don't?
No, not really. I didn't know he was having trouble making weight. I honestly didn't know that. But if anything, I mean, he's going to decide to move up a weight class, and he'll still do fine. He's probably just coming from being a wrestler. He's probably just in the wrong weight class, and he's going to figure it out soon enough, because you know that he's doing proper cuts and proper training and everything with that discipline. So I don't know, if he misses weight, they'll just find his purse, and that's that.
But
so
Travis, if he's not on the right nutrition plan, may I suggest he go to the Underground Gym, where he'll get personalized nutrition plans, workout, and everything he needs to achieve his fitness goals.
Yeah, that's correct, Henry, if you're listening.
I would like to take a moment to go ahead and say that, Travis, you definitely have one advantage over every other person who's played this game, which is Kevin's never stopped in the middle of the game to plug someone else's stuff that he is competing against. So he is, at the very least, is just remembering his role with you and is just terrified.
Yeah,
I like that many gyms to go train at.
Any kind of cheap plug.
Yeah.
Any kind of cheap plug I appreciate.
No such thing as a cheap plug on this show. They're all expensive. Let's go to our next one. Kevin, you're going to lead us off on this one. It's a bantamweight fight between Alejandro Perez and Patrick Williams. Go.
This is easy because I can see that Patrick Williams has the better abs, and the guy with the most abs usually wins the fight. Patrick Williams.
Okay. Let's go over to Travis.
I'm not familiar with either one of these fighters. I assume Patrick Williams, that's a very American name, correct?
Yes, correct.
I'm gonna go
Versus
with Patrick
Alejandro
Williams.
Perez, which I would never vote for that name, is from
Yeah,
Mexico.
Based on that fact alone, let's go with America. Patrick Williams.
Patrick Williams.
Let's also give a nice shout out to our buddy Alejandro Perez, who's definitely listening in.
Yeah,
what's
same
up?
name. I would never. I've seen the fight prowess of that namesake, and I'm not impressed.
I'm going to go back over to Travis for a second. You know, Kevin likes to pick people with great abs on this show. Sometimes as his fighting pick, sometimes for other reasons.
Because it
Can
works.
you give us a little bit of insight into Kevin, since you've known him since high school, and his fascination with other dudes' abs?
I can't really respond to that. It could be a matter of sexual preference, or it could just be something that's developed over the years. I'm not certain what that means. I mean, maybe he just likes, a washboard stomach full of abs that is glistening underneath the lights. I don't know.
Absolutely. Kevin, your response?
He's not wrong. I'm sorry, I got distracted when he said glistening under the lights. I was trying to stay focused up until that point, but can I say, Ref? Once you find a method that works, you stick with it.
You
there's
haven't
your
found
answer,
one
Raf.
that works, though. But like, this doesn't work for you. You're just doing it for your own. You're neither here nor there. Let's go to our next fight. It's a lightweight fight. Travis, you're going to do this one for us. It's Francisco Trevino versus Johnny Case. Go.
Not familiar with either one of these fighters. I'm not ashamed either, so I apologize. But let's go with number two, the latter,
Case.
Francisco Case. Yeah.
Johnny Case. You just combined their names, but that's fine. Kevin, you're up now.
He's 1G away from being my most hated character on Mortal Kombat, so I can't go with Johnny Hollywood Case. I gotta go with Francisco Trevino, and I swear his nickname is Sit Cayenne, but that kind of sounds like, Francisco Shitcan Trevino.
Yeah, I got you.
No,
Travis,
His
go ahead.
his nickname should be San Francisco. Like, you gotta,
Oh,
Anybody with a name.
Saint, yeah. We'll write that in the suggestion margin on the UFC website.
Yeah.
I'll put it right here.
Please
Travis, I
tell
was
him.
intrigued to ask you this, though. Kev was just famously downing Johnny Cage. What is the beef against Johnny Cage? He was one of the more agile users that you could use. He was the one that came with one of the fireballs, I thought, on the game.
Yeah, but I think the hatred probably comes. He's like a Bruce Lee knockoff.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's probably why.
Yeah. I prefer authentic. Plus, if you watch the movie, he just really pissed me off. That's why.
Why is that,
Why?
Kevin? I'm going to give you 15 seconds to talk about
Because
that.
he was an unlikable whiner. Like, he didn't have any of the machismo that you would expect from, like, a big, bulky, younger police officer. And he just kind of had this older, retired feel to it. And I wasn't into, like, the Don Johnson casting. I wanted someone, more reflective.
Okay, first of all,
generation.
the casting was really good. And second of all, these are the same criticisms that people talk to me about you. So,
Well, they're accurate on both fronts. Next fight.
next fight
You got-
indeed. Let's
hold
go to
on.
a...
You guys are
Uh-huh.
talking about the merits, the merit of the movie Mortal Kombat.
I was knocking it. Raph was defending its casting. If we're just being super
Go on.
specific.
I was kind of lost because I think I've seen parts of that movie, and it's absolutely terrible. So
It is terrible. It's a terrible.
that was
well,
even references.
your opinion of it is terrible, if we're being frank. I mean, Mortal Kombat is a American movie classic. I know because I've seen it on American Movie Classics, otherwise known as AMC.
Wasn't Sonia the girl that played the hot teacher in Billy Madison?
She
Yes.
absolutely was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She looked like an 80s jazzercise instructor.
Yeah, I was about to say, I don't know if you're making your case or hurting it at this point. Yep. All right, I'm going to let him think.
I'm trying to clarify. Just go ahead and move on.
I will move on. I don't need your permission, but thank you very much, Travis. Clearly, you don't know how to moderate your own debates, but that's fine.
Yeah,
let's go to our next fight. It is a featherweight fight, and Kevin, you're going to lead us off on this one between Gabriel Benitez and Clay Collard. Go.
More specifically, it feels like there are no normal-sized people fighting on this. Everyone's a bantamweight or a disappearing weight, and made of rubber weight where they don't break each other. This is easy. We've got Gabriel Mowgli Benitez versus Clay Cassius Collard. I'm choosing America, Clay Collard.
Okay. Travis, you got 15. Go.
I'm going to pick Gabriel just because I don't like Kevin's pick. I just want to go against him.
History shows a successful strategy. History would dictate.
I'd like to take this moment for no reason other than the UFC just texted me that right now they are having a post-fight press conference from New Orleans. So there's that. Congratulations, UFC.
Why? It's a little late, guys.
It's a little late, but I love that they took a while to get to that phone. No big deal, guys. Let's go to
we forgot to send the message. Fuck.
All right, let's do this. You both got in your picks on that one. Let's just go to our next fight, which is a lightweight match between Gilbert Melendez and Eddie Alvarez. And Travis, you'll lead us off on this one. 15 seconds, go.
Eddie Alvarez, he was tearing it up in Bellator. Excited to see him in the UFC. Not a big fan of Gilbert Melendez and his camp. Just not a fan of that style and how they train and their culture. So, Eddie, America.
Okay. Kev?
Despite what the last name would suggest, both USA fighters. Gilbert Melendez needs this one, so I'm going with the backed into a wall theory that he's going to attack like an animal that's backed into a corner, not backed into a wall. I think you guys understood.
I think so. Travis, you were talking a little bit about how you didn't like his camp. What exactly about his camp is it that you don't like?
The whole Caesar great, like, I don't know, Nick Diaz and Jake Shields and all of them. Melendez was the one that started that huge post-fight brawl at Strike. Well, it was actually Mayhem Miller, but remember that when Melendez, it was on CBS and they started this huge brawl, and Melendez was at the heart of that. Just like, I don't know, he jumped in and like instigated like that whole thing after Mayhem started running his mouth.
Sure, but Kev, what do you think is Travis's beef against the 209?
I mean, first of all, they're hard to understand. So it would be nice if they were just
what are you talking about, homie? We talk like this. It's really easy to understand what we're talking about.
And every time we're like, well, okay, so why do you guys like miss weight and you're kind of dickish at press events? We're like, it's a 209. It's like, well, okay, yeah, but you guys have had cameras in California, right? Like, so maybe you guys could just be a little bit nice, because it's also a sport. So it's like a little bit of that aspect to it. That's just a suggestion. I don't know. Maybe I don't mean to speak for all of us, but
fuck your scale, man.
That's pretty accurate. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
And Caesar Gracie, he's not even a he's not even a Gracie, and he's just going by that. Like, that's weird. I don't know. And then he's just like, oh, he's got a social problem, social anxiety. Okay, well, you can still do normal adult interaction and functions.
Okay. So why does his social anxiety keep him from getting on a fucking plane on time? What is that? A different social anxiety? Which anxiety is that?
No, that plane is straight up scared of me.
Is that plane anxiety? What is? Which one is that?
No, the plane's like straight up scared of me. You know what I'm saying, yo? Because like I got on it, it was like, "What up, bitch?" And I was like, "What up, bitch?" And then it like ran away. So that plane was scared of me, you know. So anyway, All right. Well, we know how both of you clearly feel about the two of them. Let's go to our next fight. Travis, you're going to lead us off on this one. It is Augusto Montano versus Cahal Pendred.
Gosh, I don't know either of those. I don't care.
You for sure aren't going to want to pick Augusto Montano, a.k.a. the Dodger. He has pink hair, kind of. It's like a reddish pink hair.
Kevin, are you trying to influence his ideas of who he's picking?
Maybe I'm trying to get in his head. I want him to think about like the physical aesthetics of who he's
What?
picking.
Can I ask what countries are they from?
Yeah,
Hold on.
absolutely.
Gonna
Cahal's
phone a
from
friend.
Ireland. Augusto
Because we're
Montano, Dodgers from Mexico.
Okay, let's go with the Irish, of course.
Cahal. He
In
was on
reference
BJ
to your
Penn's
earlier
team.
comment, Kevin, like maybe this is the Olympics. I need to know countries. So
That's it.
You may only come away with one thing from this entire preview, but it's that Travis is going to support any American, and then depending on where you're from elsewhere, maybe, but you got to be one of those good countries we like. Kev, where are you on this?
If I'm going based on abs, which I'm not, but Cahal, the former tough guy letting the hands go, I like Cahal to win this fight. I think they set him up to win an easy one. We'll see.
Okay. Let's see. You know, if you can't really know who these two people are, I'm just going to ask Travis to tell us something embarrassing about Kevin in 15 seconds.
How dare you? Let's see.
wait, what? The next two people or those two people? I already said
No,
I don't know
no.
who those two people are.
I know there's no reason to give you time to rebut anything Kevin said, so I just said 15 seconds. Make fun of Kevin. Go.
No, I kind of stopped listening to him. I was getting bored with what he was saying.
Most people do. All right, that's good enough. Let's go to our next fight. It is a lightweight fight. Kevin, you're going to lead us off on this one. It is between Efrain Escuerdo versus Drew Dober. Go.
Oh, I'm so fucking tired of picking one of these fighters and picking it wrong. So I'm just going to finally take Efrain. I'm sticking with Efrain. You know, congrats to Drew Dober probably on the potential victory. Efrain Escuerdo.
Wait, did you just intentionally throw your pick to wish Drew Dober better?
I did something in the way of a reverse jinx, top jinx.
But
You
what
wanted
if
to know
we
my
find out
exact
that your
strategy.
reverse jinx is actually worse for Drew?
Well, that would really fucking suck.
All right. We'll come to that when we need to. Travis, you got 15 on the clock. Go.
I'm gonna pick Drew Dober. He's a Midwest guy from Omaha. He got screwed over in that last fight, but I think they reversed it into a no contest.
They did.
So I'm gonna go with him. That'll be a good fight. Ephraim, he's scrappy, legit. So
He's
that'll be a good
also
fight, but
I'm hoping to draw a little tension when Drew Dober comes back by the podcast, Raph. That was what I was like.
Oh, you're drawing
Ultimately.
tension.
Yeah, that way if I pick Efrain and Drew wins, he can come on and yell at me. But if I was correct, I want to be able to be like, Drew, I'm tired of knowing you so well. So it's win-win for me.
I think Kev, I'm just going to level with you. I think he can kick your ass. I think it would go really bad. So I don't think you want to piss off Drew.
At 155
Like, he's a friend of the podcast
pounds,
right now.
Can't I just hold his head at bay and he'll just swing? Isn't that how it works?
I think the record is very, very well versed at 135ers who have given Kevin a problem, but we won't really harp on that. All right, that's good. We've got those picks. Guys, I'm happy to get to this middleweight fight because I think you know both of them. And we're going to start with Travis on this one. Travis, you're going to tell us who you think's going to win in a middleweight fight between Kelvin Gastelum and Nate Marquardt.
Nate Marquardt. I love TRT. Go Nate Marquardt.
Okay. Kev, you got 15.
Kelvin, tough 17. You know I only pick people from tough 17. That's my rule. Ultimate Fighter champ, coming off his first real little stroke of adversity. I like him in this fight over Nate, the super old, great Marquardt.
That's a terrible name.
Nate,
Whoever told
Nate, the great in years, Marquardt would be good.
Terrible name. I'll just throw that out there.
Travis, if you were to give him a name, do you have a backup nickname that you could throw his way? Maybe that would help him a little bit.
Oh gosh, I don't know. Like, I wouldn't call him something just because it rhymes with his first name. That's not, that's not a winning formula all the time. So.
Okay, so you wouldn't call him like E-Train?
Yeah, that
E-Train
would be better.
Kev, do you have any suggestions here?
Like maybe the quartz. No, I don't. Let's go with no, I don't. I wish I could take that one.
What? How about like Nate, seal your fate, Marquardt? Like something.
Oh, that's not bad.
Something
Nate,
like
seal your
that,
fate's good.
It's not bad. All right, we'll go with that one. Kev, you're going to lead us off on this next one. It is a featherweight bout between Yair Rodriguez and Charles Rosa.
Oh, yeah. Someone should check Charles Rosa's the air in his gloves, because his nickname is Boston Strong. I'm going to go with Yair Rodriguez because they play by the rules in Mexico.
Okay. Let's go to Travis on that 15.
Okay, can I ask what country each of these fellows is from?
Yair is from Mexico. Charles Boston Strong Rosa is from the US of A, if you count Boston in the USA.
I do count Boston in the USA, so I'm going with him.
Agree to disagree.
Okay. All right, fair enough. Guys, let's go to our next fight. Let's have Travis lead us off on this one. It is Albert Tumenov versus Andrew Todd Hunter, which, by the way, Todd Hunter is my favorite name on this entire list
Andrew
of names.
Todd Hunter. Yeah.
Yep. It sounds like a name that you took as a kid.
Country unknown, Travis. Country unknown. But he's fighting Albert Tumenov, who's from Russia.
It sounds like a name that you think that's really excited as a kid, and then you change your name to it, and then all of a sudden you're just like, oh, I'm stuck with this name growing up. God damn it. Travis, who do you have?
I'm going to go with the Russian because I want to say that Hunter is from America, but, we're not sure. Maybe he's unlisted. But Russians have some great fighters coming up, and they've been doing some damage, so I'm going to go with him.
Okay.
Or Hunter.
Oh, Andrew Todd Hunter. For sure. Not even a second thought. Don't need to know anything else about him, Raph. Thank God, because we don't know anything else about him. We know he's 7-0 and finishes his fights with 100% submission.
Well, if you're a hunter and you're hunting Todd, you better be on your game. So
have you ever dealt with? Hold on, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Have you ever dealt with a Russian, Kevin?
Yes. Like, not emotionally. I've had to. I've never had to on the mats.
Okay, so what was this emotional?
No, they're tough people. I wasn't saying anything in specific. They're very hard nosed. Why? What are they like as fighters?
Oh, they're incredibly scrappy, and they're the craziest people on earth. Like, they give YouTube the best videos on the entire planet. Russians. I mean, just look up Russian anything on YouTube, and you'll
Russian anything. Hold on, Russian anything is worth a Google search right now. I'm gonna do that while I give you guys the opportunity to think about what you want to say in this heavyweight bout between Cain Velasquez and Fabricio Verdum. I'm going to give you guys each 20 seconds to talk about who you think is going to win. Kevin, we're going to start with you. 20 go.
I'm ready for this fight. I've enjoyed what Fabricio Verdum has done. I think he's certainly earned a spot, but I think Cain Velasquez is going to need to get unseated before I'm going to vote against him. Cain Velasquez, stoked to see him put that really remarkable martial art known as wrestling on display, and I just wanted to underline how pro wrestling I've been on this podcast and in history.
Mm-hmm. So he comes back full circle to like wrestling at the end. Travis, what do you got at 20?
I'm going to go with Cain Velasquez as well. He's the most dominant heavyweight, in probably in modern history. And, for Mauricio, he's had a good run, and he's came back, and I like that veteran fighter. But I just don't see anybody stopping Cain. He's just so much pressure, so much technique. He's got hands, he's got wrestling, he's got everything. And he put Brock Lesnar down, so there's extra points there too.
Not a fan of the Brock?
No, not at all. When I was at that show, when I was at that WWE show back in 2004 that I did, he was just he's just so Brock, like all by himself, like wouldn't talk to anybody. He's just such a diva. Like, just get out of here. I'm not a fan. Anyway.
He did get out of there, so good news. I'll come back to analysis in just a second, though, but I did want to sport this over your way before we get into it. Cain Velasquez was saying how recently, I guess after Ronda Rousey ended up appearing at a WrestleMania recently, somebody asked him if he'd be interested in doing professional wrestling in his career. He mentioned he'd be favorable to it. But Travis, I ask you, how do you think Cain Velasquez would do in professional wrestling?
Oh, I think he'd do fine. He's he's a very gifted athlete, and he's tough. He's a hard worker. I think he would do fine. I don't know as far as like you're talking the physicality, he would do fine, but I don't know about ring presence or charisma, or if he'd have any kind of I don't know. I don't know what kind of character he would be. If he would just be himself, if he would just be, I don't know. Mexicans have a history of being successful in pro wrestling, so he's got
that
going
is true.
for him, too.
Very much so. Kev, how do you see this fight going?
I genuinely hope Fabricio Verdum has something prepared for the ground and pound, because that's been the Cain Velasquez thing, right? Like, the moment he gets you down, he's so strong. He keeps you down, and he keeps punching you. So it'd be nice to see him have maybe a grappling solution to that. Maybe attack some feet, do something crazy and dangerous. Hope he doesn't get knocked out. That'd be awesome. That's how I hope it goes.
Travis, how do you see it going?
I see him just smothering Verdum, and Verdum just getting overwhelmed. I don't think he's going to have an answer to the pressure, to the control and pressure and strength and just overall pace.
Okay, I'll say this. I think that Verdum has actually proven to be really, really resourceful in areas that I didn't think he would necessarily be all that great in. So I think he has a couple tricks up his sleeve, but I think the biggest tell of this whole thing is, where does Cain come back? He's coming back from a lengthy camp away. He hasn't been training for all that often. And then when he started getting back into camp, Kev, it's clearly a little while after he's had his last fights. So recovering from injury, do you think that plays any barometer in his success when he comes back? Or is he just a killing machine?
No, I'm really open to see it, because we've certainly had evidence to the contrary that you're never quite the same post-injuries. We're talking about a lot of injuries. I didn't realize how long it had been since Cain Velasquez fought. It's been a while. So it'll be fascinating to see, because that is something I don't know that. He's always been a gamer, but if he's not game in the sense of it just takes him a little bit, Verdum's a guy that can capitalize on that, for sure.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna have to disagree. Like, you talk about like layoffs and injuries. Like, when somebody's an athlete, when somebody's just a badass, and they're a champion, it's not gonna matter. They always say, "Oh, ring rust is real." No, I don't. It's real for some people. It's like jet lag. It's like, that's not even like you're tired. Okay, get over it. I get tired all the time. I've never had jet lag. I've flown all over the place. People are like, "Oh, I've had jet lag for a week." Oh, you're a little tired.
I still have jet lag from Hawaii.
I was about to say,
Yeah.
it's a heady subject on this podcast when one of us is suffering from jet lag.
Gosh. I had that discussion the other day. I'm like, I've never had jet lag. I've flown all over. When I flew to Kazakhstan, I flew for 2.5 days and then slept 4 hours and then had to get up and compete. And then we were there, and then we did 2.5 hours back, and then I was working the next week. Oh, jet
That's
lag.
because you're a man, Travis, and you're comparing yourself to Kevin, and just by enabling that discussion, you make it
Jet
seem
lag?
as if
Jet lag from Hawaii. That's like a 5-hour flight.
Good stuff.
All right, so Travis, I'm going to let you know this real quick. I need you to figure out who you think will win for Fight of the Night and Performances of the Night. They give out 2 performances of the night. Before I ask you who you think are going to take those tie-breaking bonuses, should the event that you and Kevin tie for whatever reason, because you didn't know half of the people on the card, that's fine, no big deal. But after I do that, I'm going to ask you to take a wager with Kevin. And the thing is, we always defer to our guests. So they usually come up with a wager that they'd like to bet that the loser has to do. Kevin, what are some of the things you've had to do in the past?
Oh, God. Well, I had to change my Facebook picture to something of me trying to recreate a Uriah Faber picture. I had to create a holiday greeting card for a friend. I've also had to do some pro wrestling call-outs, essentially. Raph, what do you... Hype video. There it is. Promos.
It was pretty
Oh,
terrible.
there you
We'll
go.
send it your way, Travis, if you haven't seen it. It's Kevin, a person who does not understand pro wrestling, trying to do a pro wrestling promo. And for some reason, he might be in kabuki phase.
Even better. That's fantastic.
Yep. Anyway, so you don't tell me now, but do you have an idea of where you'd like to take Kevin on a bet?
Yeah, I think I do. I would like to see.
Hold on. Don't say it yet. We got to do performances of the night and fight of the night. So, Kev, what do you have for us on fight of the night and performances of the night?
Fight of the night is easy. It's going to go to Kelvin Gastelum versus Nate Marquardt. Performance of the night going to Cain Velasquez. And the other performance of the night is going to go to Drew Dober.
The Drew Dober that you said is not going to win?
Correct.
Okay. Travis, who do you have for us?
Oh, I want to make sure I got this right. Performance
Okay.
of the night. I thought there was fight of the night, and then there's knockout and submission of the night. So what's
Nope, they've
performance of the
changed
night?
it. Performance of the night is basically they wanted to get rid of submission and knockout of the night because sometimes there are events where there are no submissions or knockouts. So this
gotcha.
way,
That
two
makes
people always get performance of the nights, even though they still kind of change it whenever they fucking want to. So, long story short, just pick 2 people who you think Dana will give money to, and then a fight that Dana will give money to.
Okay, the fight, the Dober Escuardo will be the fight of the night.
Okay.
And Cain Velasquez, he'll get a performance via TKO. And then
Okay.
the other one will be the Irish kid. He's going to get a knockout.
Cahal.
Cahal Pendred is going to get the bonus, is what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay, sure enough. Good enough. All right. So, Travis, you said you had an idea of what kind of a wager you'd like to place with Kevin. I'm interested to hear because you sound very clear on what you'd like to do here.
Yeah, it just came to me like I would hope and I think this is a good one after I say it because I would think Kevin is not the kind of person that would be able to change his own oil in his car. So I want to see Kevin have to change the oil in his car. And I want to see him video it and go through all this trouble that would just be terribly difficult for him, as I assume.
Wow. All right.
From
what do you
going
say?
to the store, finding out what kind of filter, finding the correct oil, the volume, finding the correct wrenches. I just want it to be this terrible fiasco that I imagine it would be.
Well, Kevin, what say you to changing the oil on your Prius?
I have good and I have bad news. Good news is I do kind of know how to change the oil on the Prius.
Okay.
The bad news is a very different process than changing the oil, so it's not something I can do.
Gosh.
Physically,
That is a
I know. Isn't that crushing?
But
I'd have
hold
to
on, hold
actually take a piece off. Huh.
Let's take a moment because it seems like, I don't know, maybe I'm leading here. Travis, tell me if I'm wrong. It sounds like Travis is just challenging your manhood. And that's kind of where the bet's going. Am I picking that up right, Travis?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay. What's another thing, though, that you could do? Because that's not a bad area. Nobody's ever challenged Kevin like this because I just think they assume he's not really a man. But is there some other area that you can take Kevin? It's in the same vein, but I like where your head's at.
Because I for sure
Okay.
have a counter offer here, Raph.
This is a good one.
Okay.
This is even better than changing the oil. I want to see him chop down a tree with an axe.
Okay. Accepted.
Hold on,
Accepted.
Just for funsies, though, Kevin, what was the one you were going to counter with?
No, I'm saying if he wins, I get a video of me trying to chop down a tree with this tiny little handsaw I have that'll be a real pain in the ass.
Sure.
If I win, I would like a video. He has a fiance that he can recruit to help this. I want him to try eye makeup on in like its full sincerity. So we can both explore our weaker sides.
Wow.
That is a challenge. How about I just like airbrush some abs on my already,
Because you
Full
already have abs,
abdomen,
Travis,
right?
and that's not fair.
I wanted to take a moment to acknowledge the part of the conversation where Travis was like, to, get some abs on my, I don't want to say I have abs, but gosh, they're just right here. And I
On
just
my
listen
that
really, really
stuff where
nicely,
the
Kevin. No big deal. But
flab should be. Yeah.
this is what man's abs looks like. Is that what was happening there?
No, I was going to refer to my partially existent abs, and I didn't know how to what exact term to,
Oh my God. To two people who have zero abs, I think you could just say my abs, and we'd probably let it
Still
go
like eye
without
makeup.
having the categorization. I will say, Kevin's eye makeup is a perfect counter. Travis, do you accept that condition?
Yeah, that's fine.
All right, excellent.
I'm not
Well,
I'm
looks
not
like-
scared of eyeliner.
Well, you don't have to be. You can just be
That
scared
should be
of
the next
name
T-shirt. Yeah, I was like,
that
this
we
is
run
interesting.
with. I ain't scared. No eyeliner is going to be.
I mean,
The
Sting he's worn eyeliner for like 50 years in the ring, so can't be
It's
that
true,
bad.
but
Yeah.
are you really a Sting at heart though? Like, can you pull off that kind of charisma though, Travis?
Was Lex Luger a Sting when the NWO invaded? No, but he wore face paint. So did Macho Man. I mean, anybody can do it.
I don't know. It takes a certain kind of pro wrestler to pull it off. I'm just saying. Yeah, Travis, look, this has been immense amounts of fun. Where can people find you, and what is coming up next for you?
People can find me online, ungd.tv. Sign up for an online membership. I put everything I've done in 10 years, training, nutrition, exercises, workouts, tutorials, everything's on there for a low membership price. Super easy. It fits on your phone. What's up next for me is I'm getting married in August. So, yeah, the biggest fight of my life is what I've been told.
I've seen your save the dates, and I don't think that is exactly the language you put on there, but okay.
Yeah, it was subtext. It was implied.
Yeah,
I think I
obviously.
understood.
Well, that's great. I mean, obviously, as somebody who just did that myself, I think you are going to survive it, and you have a lovely fiance, so I think you guys are going to be just fine.
Yeah, it's going to be great. We're excited. It's awesome. It's going to be a good time in Kansas City, and, hope you guys can make it out. I think you guys both got the invites. So
much appreciated, my man. I don't know. Kevin may be so embarrassed he may not be able to make it out there when he
We'll see.
struggles
Chop down a tree.
Chop down a
when the tree wins and I like fall down tired. Yeah.
Well, Travis, we want to thank you for coming in this week. Will you be cool to drop by in the podcast next week to see how your picks played out?
Absolutely. That would be cool.
Awesome. Let's do that. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much, Travis Conley.
Thank you, guys.
Now, Ref Esparza, it's been good to be back. We're deep in the podcast mode. I feel like we finally hit our rhythm. We're not getting gassed after the first round. We don't have to get through that first initial wave of uncertainty with the gi. That we just immediately start working our grips. You know what I mean?
Speaking of grips, I am excited. I am going to start a challenge that Kevin is. Well, you know, Kevin, he was trying to make fun of me for saying I'm going to Jane Fonda my way into this, but I am. And I've got a new Jits Grips product, and for the next month, I'm going to be trying out this Jits Grips product and see how it works. And I am starting a 30-day challenge. It's going to be #Raf's Jits Grips Challenge, and you guys can follow along, and you'll see all of the nonsense that I am doing as I am trying to figure out how the fuck to use this thing, because it looks cool.
Well, I hope your grip strength improves. I mean that. Kind of.
Yeah, thank you. Do you?
Kind of, yeah. I'm with it. Like,
Are you? Like, I can't tell. You keep double negativing. I don't.
Yeah, absolutely. Grip strength, good. Good for you. Yeah, you're going to do great.
Are you jealous? I don't know where this is.
I would be jealous, except, Raph, I was in Hawaii, and I got to train in a little place called Island Jiu-Jitsu with Jason Virgil, or Surfer J, as apparently the world knows him. Awesome place. So it kind of overlooks Honolulu, which is already pretty cool. And they can like open the windows. It's on the second floor. It's like nothing but mats. Badass. Great vibe. Hot as balls. No one else notices except the foreigner. The guy from the mainland. It's like I'm baking and no one else is just like, it's a beautiful evening. What are you talking about? It's like 75, 80 out. Though genuinely fantastic instruction. Got to roll, get beat up. Take some breaks away from work, and here's what I'll say. Here's what I like about going to jiu-jitsu gyms, because spend 2 weeks away, you start to get a little homesick. You know, you get a little tired of hotel stuff. Jiu-jitsu always has that little home feel, no matter what, wherever you go, which is really cool. So thanks to the guys out at Island Jiu-Jitsu. Anyone's ever in Honolulu, you have to go visit this gym. It's amazing. Awesome. They had Lowen, who was the ONE FC fighter I was talking about, that we'll hopefully have on the podcast, just coming off a big ONE FC win. He was telling me, I was speaking with them right before the class started. Apparently Jason, the Surfer J, the instructor, texted him the night before his fight that when his opponent gets desperate, he tries to roll through for a knee bar. So almost like a Jeff Glover, like donkey guard roll through. Mm-hmm. And apparently that's exactly what happened in the third round. And Lowen cannot explain it. He has an older iPhone, and that was the only text that made it through. Right?
Oh, no.
That was the only one. Of all the like people that were like, oh, I texted you good luck, and you didn't get any of those texts, he got the watch out for the roll through, and he, was able to prepare for it, block his foot, and win.
That's awesome.
Right? And so fun to be back to train with Dave, Brian, Marcus Saturday. Get some open mat work back in, doing some really good drilling, some rolls. And that's going to do it for me, Raph.
That's awesome. Well, welcome back. I'm glad to hear you're back in the East, safe and sound. Mm-hmm. You don't care.
I was trying to think of what they called it, the East Maritimes, or whatever they called it in Canada, that I said, and I can't remember now.
Before I give shout-outs, I do want to say, in follow-up to what we were talking about with Travis, when you type in the words Russian anything into YouTube, The first 5 results are: expect anything and my only serenity, Russia Tour 2014, with people looking like they're about to take a shot of something. Anything you can do, I can do better, but in Russian apparently, and it looks like it's done with Muppets. Multi-purpose motorcycle from Russia can go through almost anything, so let your imagination do that. There's one that says, "Is there anything a Russian won't climb?" And it's a dude on a ledge, which is
What are they implying?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, hey, whoa. And then the last one is tattoo all the things she said, as many people remember the lesbian rocker group who just made out in the video forever. Most people are familiar with it for reasons both can be explained on the podcast and probably shouldn't be explained. So those are the top 5 results for Russian Anything. You're welcome, Travis Conley. I just want to send shout-outs to...
You're welcome to the
few
listeners, I think, if we're just being... like, thank
if
you,
we
Raph.
are being honest. Oh,
Thank you.
I am happy to do a good service.
It's an obligation, not a choice for
true.
you. I get it.
It's true. Let's go ahead and shout out everybody at Valley Martial Arts Center. Had some really good training today at Open Mat. One of our new guys, Jeff, has been really, really cool and great to train with. And no, I am not saying that because I am trying to bribe him to listen to this podcast.
That
but
would be below us or above us, whichever. I don't ever get it right, but it's one of them.
It's one of them. Jeff's been a good training partner, and I'm glad to see he is becoming part of the family over here. I also want to shout out everybody at Breakdown Academy.
Breakdown. Oh.
You got nothing for that one. I'm so glad.
About breakdown. No, I'm sorry.
It's the faux Seinfeld. My thanks to John and everybody over there. I had some great training with them as well. It's just good times. So my thanks to everybody. It's been a good week of training, and I look forward to starting to use the Jits Grips on my Jits Grips challenge. Let's hope I don't screw it up. I will tell you, the first challenge is apparently opening the packaging. So,
Challenge 1.
It's a rough one.
Grip packaging. Well, that's a good idea. That's good marketing.
Yeah.
Just by getting into this package, you're going to already see grip improvements. They can use that if they want, Raph. Don't worry about it. I'm just throwing grip nuggets your way. That's going to do it for us tonight here at Verbal Tap. I'm Kevin. Thanks for listening.
Good night and good fight.